muchos lugares.
Sí.
Sí.
Hola,
David. ¿Cómo
Hola.
estás hoy?
¿Cómo están?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Bien, también.
Bien, todo bien.
Ah,
Sally no tuvo problema en unirse hoy.
no, fácilmente hoy.
Muchas gracias para tener esta clase o
Okay.
discusión.
Sí, esta es una reunión para tutoría, para ayudarte con tu tarea o cualquier pregunta que tienes.
Oh,
Sí.
muchas gracias.
Es tu primera vez con nosotros, ¿no, Lynn?
Sí,
Bien.
sí. Sally y yo estaba hablando de cuáles lugares vivimos. Ella vivía en Minneapolis y yo vivo en Burbank, California.
¿Vives en California, Lynn? Qué interesante.
Sí.
¿Cómo supiste de la reunión hoy?
Yo estoy usando Duolingo cada día.
Ah, ok, bien.
¿Y Sally, cómo?
Oh, sí. Originalmente, el primero vez yo yo aprendí por Duolingo. Y ahora, este es mis 3 o 4 tiempo en clase con David.
Muy bien.
Here you want to say base, not tiempo.
Oh, ves, sí, sí.
Yeah. So base is like saying an occasion versus tiempo is the general concept of time, right?
Okay.
Sí, no, Sally, más de 4 veces, yo creo que ya te has unido aquí como 7 o 8 veces, porque fue al principio, al empezar la cuarentena, nos conocimos.
Sí, es posible, especialmente porque David también hizo en clase en viernes.
Sí.
Viernes y miércoles. Ambos días. Sí.
Oh. ¿Vas a tener clases los miércoles y viernes en el futuro?
Yo doy clases todos los días, de lunes a domingo.
Wow.
Sí.
Pero tiene que pagarlas. Esta es una reunión que yo hago, siempre doy cada miércoles. Cada miércoles de 3 a 4. Bueno, yo estoy aquí en tiempo de Colorado, tiempo montaña. 3 a 4 es una hora gratis para cualquier persona que tiene preguntas. Y los viernes por la mañana de 10 a 11 es otro tipo de reunión solo para hablar. Pero sí, es una cosa que yo hago siempre.
Y a veces hay personas que quieren hablar inglés. También.
Sí.
Inglés y español en el clase mismo o mismo clase.
Exacto. Esto es una reunión para conectarnos.
Sí.
¿Sí?
¿A las 11?
Los viernes es de 10, entonces de las 9 tiempo California. Sería de 9 a 10 de allá.
Viernes no funciona. Viernes no puedo.
Está bien. Cuando puedas, estamos aquí.
Okay.
Pues bien, yo ya conozco, perdón, Sally, que voy a preguntar un poco más a Lynn, porque es la primera vez que la conozco aquí. Lynn, cuéntame un poco de tu experiencia con español. Ya lo hablas bastante bien, ¿no?
Oh, gracias. Estoy ahora practico español. 1987 estaba practicando español, pero el tiempo durante o between,
Entre.
entre estos tiempos, yo no practicaba.
Bien.
Fui
Entonces,
a Cuernavaca para estudiar español sobre como 2 semanas cada vez.
Oh,
Muchas antes.
oh, sí.
bien. Entonces,
Perdón, Lynn, hice, no, tienes, no, un momento, por favor. ¿Has estudiado español cuando era joven?
Yo tenía ¿cómo se dice? 205, is that 20? 25? 205?
25, not 205.
200.
25 años
5 years.
hasta 30 años.
Oh, sí.
Real quick, just because I wanted to, I heard what you said there, Sally, because this is tutoring to help fix things. You said, ¿has estudiado español cuando eras joven? Okay. And here you would want to use the imperfect on both sides of that clause.
Okay.
It would be,
Let me try. Can I try, please?
Okay.
Can I try? Okay. So, and I would say, have you, let me see. No, let me see. ¿Estudiabas español cuando era, no, estudiabas español, estabas joven? No.
You're right with cuando eras joven.
Cuando eras joven. Okay, sí. Sí.
Sí, yo estudiaba. Yo estudiaba español cuando yo era joven.
Oh. ¿Para muchos años? ¿O por muchos años?
Por como 5 años.
Oh, sí.
Sí. Screen mode. La computadora funciona bien.
Sí. David va a escribir ahora.
All right, so this is a good, so like in Spanish, we've got all of these different, just like in English, tenses or times, right? And so the imperfect tense is used for kind of an ambiguous time in the past, okay? So like if this is our future mark, present, sorry. If this line is our present, and I just have terrible mouse control here.
Es difícil, es muy difícil.
This is even worse than my regular hand. So,
yo puedo leer.
Bien.
Sí.
The imperfect is something that we use to talk about something in the past that is more of an ongoing thing. We do not have a very well-defined start or stop point, right? So that's why I said in this particular instance is, sorry, bear with me here. Estudiabas español cuando eras joven, right?
Sí.
So in this situation, we don't have any very well defined time references, right? Other than the past, when you
Sí.
were young, right?
Sí.
To put that into perspective, what you originally used was called the past.
Perfect.
Was
the
the
perfect.
present was called the was
Sí,
called
present perfect.
present perfect. Okay. But the present perfect has the idea of something that happened at least una vez, right? That is a gigantic Z. So you have done it at least once, okay? And so again, it's in the past. We're going to call this the PP for present perfect. Oops. Okay. So the present perfect is used to describe more past experiences that have just happened at least once. So here, I would ask it like this. ¿Has estudiado español? And you don't add anything else. The second you start adding more context there, it's more than likely that you need to either use the imperfect or the preterite, okay? And then just to throw this also into perspective here, because we can do another thing. So this, at least one time, can also be used for the preterite. Also known as the simple past, where we have a very well-defined start and stop point. So that would look like this. Estudiaste español in what year did you say? 1987?
I don't remember.
I think you said 1987.
Yeah.
Right? So to kind of to compare all these different things, they're all different ways to talk about something that happened in the past. And the biggest thing here is like with the preterite tense, this is what we call the simple past in English. Estudiaste español en el 1987. Did you study in 1987? Because we have that time reference, we use the simple past or the preterite. Has estudiado is the present perfect because it's very vague. It just means it happened at some point in the past. We don't know exactly when. It's very undefined, other than the fact that it's an experience that you have lived at some point in your life. And then kind of the imperfect is the estudiabas español cuando eras joven, when it's something that's kind of an ongoing activity where we don't have a very well-defined start and stop point.
Sí, sí.
That helpful?
Sí. Una pregunta. Creo que hay unas palabras que puede usar para present perfect alguna vez. ¿Es posible decir alguna vez has estudiado español? Sí.
Yeah, and that's like how we would say, have you ever?
Ever. Sí.
Alguna vez is like at least some point. Una vez or alguna vez is at some point in your life, or how in English we would say, have you ever?
¿Puedes decir, has estudiado español a menudo? Oh.
That doesn't sound very good to me, because a menudo is like saying often. You say that more in like the present tense. ¿Estudias español a menudo? Do you study Spanish often?
Mhm.
But to put it in the past tense like that, ¿has estudiado español? Have you studied Spanish often? That the present perfect is really saying less is saying more. If that-
Sí, sí. Es buen día,
Because
gracias.
just by like the way we use it in English is typically the way there are some disconnects between the way it's used in English and Spanish, but for the most part, it's like this is like dating Spanish. I call it dating Spanish because it's what you use when you first go out and you're getting to know somebody, right? ¿Has español? ¿Has comido puerco? ¿Has cocinado? That's all you have to say. And once you start qualifying it with some more information, there's a chance that you don't need or that you need to use a different tense with that. Just some of the common like disconnects where I might see it in Spanish or English. Oops, what happened there? So in English, we would say, have you been to Argentina? And we would use that in the present perfect tense in English. In Spanish, you would almost always use the simple present tense and use the verb conocer. It is technically correct. Like if you say, has estado en Argentina, you'll be understood, but a native Spanish speaker would never say it that way. A native Spanish speaker would say, conoces Argentina. And that's one of the primary disconnections I can think of between those two tenses. Another one that we might say in English, how long have you been studying Spanish? Right? How long have you been? And that's the present perfect continuous, something like that. And in Spanish, you would probably say something more like, ¿Cuánto tiempo estudias español?
¿Cuánto tiempo estudias? Wow.
And that's, again, just in the simple, there's some very strange disconnects between the Spanish and English language where it'd be normal to say something in the present tense in Spanish where we would say something in the past or the, or cuánto tiempo, and another very common one would be to say cuánto tiempo llevas estudiando español.
Llevas, carrying?
How much time do you carry studying Spanish? Yeah. It's like, how much time have you been bearing that weight on your shoulders? Kind of one way to think about it.
Sí.
¿Cuánto tiempo llevas?
Claro que sí, en esta casa. Caso, en mi caso, sí, es verdad. Es muy heavy.
¿Duro? Español es duro, un lenguaje duro.
Another way we could say that is, ¿desde cuándo estudias español? Again, in the simple present tense.
Oh, sí, desde cuándo? Since when have you been studying Spanish?
Or it's kind of like, are you studying? And also been, right? It's kind of both. Is that true? Like, estudias.
It's just the way that it's said in Spanish. We would say, how long have you been studying Spanish? But in Spanish, you have kind of these three ways to say it.
Hmm.
And then, like, so and it would also be correct to say it the same way. Por cuánto tiempo has estado estudiando español? And there you've got a word translation where you see the has estado estudiando. That's the have you been studying, right? That's the word for word translation, and it's also correct. But I think a native Spanish speaker would probably more than likely say it one of these bottom three ways. Por cuánto tiempo estudias español? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas estudiando español? ¿Desde cuándo estudias español? Yeah. I think that was you, Lynn, that said, es un idioma duro. Español es duro. Spanish is hard. It might be a little more correct to say difícil here. They don't necessarily use duro like the way, because duro means hard, like as in la mesa es dura. The table is hard, like a hard surface. Something is hard to do, it's more difficult. Difícil.
Sí. Por ejemplo, trabajo duro.
Mi trabajo es difícil.
Trabajo duro. Hard worker.
In that situation, trabajo bien duro. That works in that situation.
Okay.
But to put it into perspective, trabajo duro means one thing, and mi trabajo es difícil means something else. To work.
Explicaré, por favor.
Trabajo duro means I'm a hard worker. Versus mi trabajo es difícil means my job is difficult.
Trabajo duro.
You can be a hard worker and just give it all you have, right? Or you can have a job that's like brain surgery that's really incredibly complicated. Right? Yeah, in my experience, I've studied a lot of the Romance languages, even Latin, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. And I've studied a very random language, Swahili, as well, and a couple other African languages. Languages, in my experience, now I don't know anything about the Asian languages or Russian or anything like that, but in my experience, and I teach English too, every language has hard things and every language has really easy things about it. So I get that question all the time is, which language is harder, English or Spanish? Directly from kind of a logic in a historical perspective, I think English is the harder language just because of the way it evolved over time. English is more of a mixture of different languages with its roots in these kind of old Germanic languages, but heavily influenced in Latin, in French, in Greek, whereas Spanish is just it's like a 90% knockoff of Latin with a like 10% influence from Arabic. So because it's like primarily based in Latin, I think it's better organized than English. Like English, we have rules, and then we have exceptions to the rules, and then we have exceptions to the exceptions. And Spanish is pretty, the rules are the rules. There aren't really like exceptions to it. There are some really hard things about Spanish, like especially the subjunctive. Once you start getting into the subjunctive, it gets very difficult.
No he estudiado subjunctive todavía.
It's coming.
Una pregunta, por favor. Tengo una amiga de viaje a África otras veces, muchas veces, y quiere aprender Swahili.
Ok.
¿Cómo tú aprender Swahili?
¿Cómo aprendiste tú?
¿Cómo aprendiste?
Bueno, voy a calificar esto un poco. No hablo Kiswahili bien. Me puedo presentar en varias ocasiones en mi vida. He estudiado por un rato, pero no mucho. Swahili es muy difícil. Lo poco que yo he estudiado Swahili es difícil. So how we have like the verb conjugations in Spanish, you have that in Swahili. But one of the really hard things about Swahili is they're like for the nouns, they're not just simple nouns. I think they have like 6 classifications of nouns. So making those like singular and plural, like each type of noun has its own rule. It makes it really, really hard to learn.
Hay un Duolingo unas lecciones en Swahili.
Yeah, so Duolingo does have Swahili. I bought 2 books, and then I also at one point hired a Swahili. And I've got a couple of friends that are from Eastern Africa that speak it, so that's kind of how but I'm not like by any means and like I couldn't teach it.
Lo siento, perdóname para cambiar la subject.
El tema.
El tema.
El sujeto, pero aquí tema. No, está bien.
Sí.
Sí. Si tu amiga quiere aprenderlo, pues siempre debería de buscar una persona. No hay nada como una persona con quien se puede hablar. Duolingo es práctica.
Sí.
Me gusta Duolingo porque es buena práctica, pero tenemos que entender que es práctica, no es enseñanza.
Exactamente, sí,
Sí,
especialmente por hablando la lengua.
Sí, Duolingo no da lecciones. Duolingo te da una manera divertida de practicar, de aprender vocabulario, pero no como una lección con estructura para aprender es lo que falta. Si tu amiga quiere aprender Swahili, ¿está en Minnesota contigo, Sally?
Sí.
¿Ella vive en Minnesota?
Sí.
Aquí en Denver hay un centro comunitario para africanos. No sé si hay algo similar allá, pero yo mandé un correo electrónico al centro avisándole que quería aprender Swahili y me presentaron a como 2 o 3 personas.
Excelente.
Porque no es un idioma muy común. Si vas a la universidad, no, me imagino que no hay clase de Swahili o no es un idioma con mucha demanda, con mucha necesidad, entonces es difícil.
Sí, lo entiendo. Yo entiendo, sí.
Sí. Muy bien. Pues, ¿qué más preguntas tienen de español? ¿Una cosa que te da dudas o quieres mejorar?
Yo pienso que hablado sobre las diferencias entre para y por.
Las diferencias entre por y para. Okay.
Sí.
Let's see here. I remember you asked me that last week. Let me find that in our lesson somewhere. Because it's not just a simple answer.
No, es muy maneras a usar ambos palabras.
Bear with me while I look this up. You can keep talking to each other. If you
No hay problema. ¿Cómo fue tu almuerzo, Lynn?
En la cocina.
¿Fue delicioso?
Um,
¿La comida fue delicioso?
la comida fue bien. Bueno, yeah. Es más, más, yo comí para mi salud.
Oh,
Y-
sí,
y
yo
pues-
también. Ujú.
Y después no, no fue muy delicioso.
Pero me gusta comer con muchas vegetales y frutas y sopas, pero me gusta también pan.
Ajá.
Me gusta pan mucho. Me gusta mucho pan. Sí,
A mí me gusta pan mucho.
sí. Y todas las tipos de pan.
Ah,
A mí me gusta todos los tipos de pan.
todos tipos de pan.
Todos tipos de pan. Sí,
ujú.
sí. Blanca y, ¿cómo se dice? Whole wheat. No, what's wheat?
Trigo.
Rigo?
Trigo.
Rigo.
Rigo.
Ah, sí.
Rigo. Pan de rigo.
Y pan con nueces y seeds, nuts and seeds.
Nuts o nueces. Oh.
Nueces,
Nueces.
Nueces en semillas.
semillas.
Semillas. Nueces y semillas.
Y cacahuates, peanuts. ¿Es verdad? Cacahuates.
What?
That might be the Mexican word.
Sí.
Because in Mexico, they use a different word that I don't know off the top of my head, other than I know that it's different. In South America, they use the word maní.
Maní. Sí. Maní. Cacahuates en México y yo recuerdo porque me gusta hablar. La palabra cacahuetes.
Oh.
Me gusta decir la palabra.
Me gusta decir la palabra cacahuetes.
¿Te gusta?
Y palomitas también.
¿Qué?
Palomitas. Palomitas, popcorn.
Oh, palomitas.
Palomitas, ajá.
Sí, sí.
Mm.
Yo tengo hambre. Yo hablo mucho de comida.
Oh.
Sobre comida.
Quisiera tener cena. ¿Tu cena?
Sí, sí. Pronto. El fin de Zoom reunión.
Muy
Mi
bien.
esposo y yo comemos temprano.
Ujú.
¿Por qué? Porque somos antigua. Vieja.
Somos mayores.
Sí, es una palabra mejor.
It sounds better. You can say somos viejos. If you say antiguos, that's like saying we're ancient. You can say somos
Bueno,
You can say somos viejos. You can say somos viejitos.
Oh, sí.
When you put the diminutive on it, it sounds better. Or
Sí.
you say somos mayores. When you say mayor, that really has a better sound to it. So,
Sí.
ya somos mayores. Ya somos
Okay.
viejitos.
Gracias.
Viejitos. Ajá.
All right, so I found the por and para stuff here.
Oh,
Great.
All right, so what I was telling you last week, Sally, it's not just a simple answer, right? We see kind of what I was explaining with the different uses of the present perfect, you know? When there's a direct translation, it's great, but then there's sometimes words that just don't translate very well, words or expressions. And por and para are examples of words called prepositions. And prepositions are your number one enemy when it comes to learning a new language, because prepositions are the words, they're connector words that don't necessarily mean anything so much as it needs to connect word A to word B to be grammatically correct. So por and para is one of the most commonly misunderstood concepts, because typically speaking, when you know, you learn how to say for in Spanish, you know, you're going to learn it's either por or para, but it's not that's not the only meaning of it. So here I'm going to give you a few of the better meanings for it. It's better to apply kind of a concept to when and where you use these. So para, we're going to start off with para. Para is used to talk about a specific destination. I like to think about it. Let's see here. So, oops. Sorry, I know I'm gonna have a fight with Zoom. All right, that's not what I want to do. All right, bear with me.
no hay problema.
No hay problema.
Sometimes Zoom is like super easy to use, and then sometimes I have like no idea what is going on.
Yo también.
All right, let me see. It's gonna work now. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. So I think of this as a destination where it's a unilateral movement of motion. So we're starting in one place and we're ending in another place. And this is where we're going to use para. Okay. Of course, now. All right. So as a destination, mañana salgo para Mexico. Tomorrow, and this is going to translate kind of like to for in English. Tomorrow I'm leaving for Mexico with my end destination in mind, okay? We can use it to talk about due date. La tarea es para el jueves. In English, we would say the homework is due on Thursday. In Spanish, there's no word for due. The word for due is para. So you say it with the day or the time that you have to do something. You say it with para. La tarea es para jueves. The homework is due Thursday. Again, I kind of still in my head think of this as we've got a starting point, which is today, and then we've got an end point, which is Thursday. And so we've got this forward moving motion towards Thursday with a very specific destination, or in this situation, a due date. Does that make sense? We use para for indirect objects when we're giving an item to another person. El dinero es para ti. This money is for you. Again, my arrow here helps me make sense of that because I've got the money. It's with me now. and it's going in motion towards you, and you're the final destination for the money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. We use para for objectives when we have a goal in mind. So here my example is, estudio español para conseguir un trabajo en Argentina. I'm studying Spanish in order to get a job in Argentina. In this situation, para translates to in order to.
In order to. See.
And we always use it like this when you do one thing, again, with the end result or the final destination being some other type of result. Right? We'll always use this before the verb infinitive. Right? Conseguir is in the verb infinitive, which means to get. So I studied Spanish in order to get a job in Argentina, or you could just say to get. I studied Spanish to get. So in order to, or just simply to. But again, go ahead.
This is off the subject, but number 4, there's that word you used one other time in this group, Hispanohablante.
Hispanohablante, Spanish speaking.
Sí. Hispanohablante.
Muy bien. So yeah, again, still my arrow here helps us understand that we're starting with studying Spanish, but our final destination is getting a job in Argentina. All right. So that's my 5-minute explanation of the word para. And then now let's see here if I can go to my 5-minute explanation of the word por. Por is going to be used to express more of a general idea. And so I like to think of por as more of a circle. So where we have para with our singular direction arrow, we've got por with our kind of circle, and we'll use that to talk about motion, a cause, a unit of measure, in exchange for, or a period of time. Let's see here. All right. So if we're talking about motion, and here's where it gets really fun. Por can mean through, along, by, or via in English, right? Siempre entro por la puerta. I enter through the door. Caminamos por la playa. I could also say caminamos para la playa, but it means two different things, okay? So the reason why I say por is with my circle here. It's like saying we're walking around the beach. Nothing very specific. It's a general movement or a general location. If I changed it with the word para, caminamos para la playa, that means we're at our house right now and we're going to walk towards the beach with our final destination being the beach. Okay? No me gusta volar, así que siempre viajo por tren. I don't like to fly, so I always travel by train. I guess my circle here is me getting on the train. What kind of makes that sense for me. Voy al centro por la Colfax is like saying via. So I'm going downtown by way of Colfax, Colfax Street. Okay. We have a famous street here called Colfax.
Sí, yo conozco Colfax. Mi hija vive cerca de Colfax.
It's the longest street in America.
Oh, no conozco. No lo conozco?
No sabía.
No sabía. Sí.
Yep. There's another topic for you. Conocer and saber.
Sí.
That would take another lesson like this.
Sí.
All right. Por can also be used as a cause or because of something. So here, like my circle represents that because I'm starting here, but I end up back in my starting point. Like it comes full circle. And here we say because on account of or on behalf of. For example, no fui a tu fiesta por estar enfermo. So here it's like saying I didn't go to your party because of being sick. Because of being sick. It's also like kind of an exchange here. So that circle is like showing that exchange of information. Because of this reason, ended up doing this, right? It kind of comes full circle for us. Llegué tarde por la lluvia. I got here late because of the rain. It can also mean on behalf of. Pagué las cuentas por ti. I paid the bills on your behalf. Okay? Por means as a unit of measure, las clases de español son 50 por hora. The Spanish classes are $50 per hour, right? That's pretty straightforward. In exchange for, compré mi carro por $10,000. So again, I bought the car for $10,000. Or in this situation, in exchange for $10,000.
Una pregunta, por favor. Again, off the subject, but is that how the Spanish would show $10,000 with a period after the 10 instead of a comma like we do?
Yep.
Oh.
So in English, we do a comma, right? And in Spanish, they do it with a decimal point. And then, so like if you wanted to write $5, this is fun. $5 would look like that, right? So you put the comma where we put the where we put the period. And in a big number like this, they put a period. So to say $10,000.50, they reverse the periods and the commas.
Interesante.
Sí.
Sí, gracias.
Wow.
Okay, let's see here. Back to my, oh, I lost my mouse again. I don't know why this seems to happen like more and more. Okay, there we go. All right. And then por is also used for describing periods of time that are not very specific. Voy a Cuba por el verano. I'm going to Cuba for the summer. Not giving a start or a stop date, like if it were a due date, I would say, voy a Cuba para viernes. This Friday, I'm going to Cuba. But Cuba por el verano, I'm going to Cuba during the summer. In or during, me gusta correr por la mañana. In English, I would say I like running in the morning, or I like running during the morning. Me gusta correr por la mañana. All right, so there's my little crash course in the difference between por and para. I still, like, for me, it's just the most helpful. I'm a very visual person. So when I think of por and para, I always think of por as a circle. Or if you think of it like with an arrow going around the circle, like we start here and then we kind of come full circle to show our motion, versus para being kind of that, you know, starting over here and then stopping over here. And like if you're, this kind of visual representation should help you a little bit kind of understand because as we
Mhm.
saw, both of these words can mean like 10 to 20 different things each. So just
Mhm.
as a concept, thinking of por is full circle and para is a unilateral motion. And that might help you out just a little bit.
A lot, yeah. I also like to read a lot of examples and then choose a couple that I can memorize and then just modify as I need to, like, gracias por la música, gracias por la comida, gracias por whatever.
And there you, gracias por, like you're showing the exchange. You're starting
Sí,
right now, but you got something in exchange for your reason for saying thank you, right? It's the full.
sí. And then the other one I kind of remember is because you wouldn't say something para if you were talking about a person, because you would then be saying you're exchanging that person for something else.
Well, I mean, there you got to be.
There probably are examples, yeah.
You have to be a little careful, right? So I could say, esta pluma es para ti. This is for you,
Sí,
right? So I am showing, but it's that, unilateral motion there.
right. But you wouldn't say este dinero es por Francisco. Por Francisco, because wouldn't that mean that you're exchanging the money for Francisco?
No, when you say that, you're meaning the money is from Francisco.
Oh, sure. Muy complicado.
So I could say, este dinero es para ti por Francisco.
Sí.
Te doy este dinero para ti por Francisco. And there you're using both of the words por y para at the same time. I'm giving the money to you, but it's on Francisco's behalf.
Okay. Yeah, so many different ways to use each one.
Yeah.
Practica, practica, practica.
Yeah. And so like that's, again, boy, how do I, so one of my big things is trying to make languages easier and simplifying them and trying to give you more confidence. So like what we just did, the por y para thing, try not to worry about it. And this is more of a listening thing. So conversational Spanish, what happens here when you're learning how to speak a new language as an adult, you've got a language system, which in this situation is English, that you tend to draw on to help you make sense out of language number two and to communicate in language number two. But language acquisition, which is like the ability to actually start using the language and communicating the language, conversation comes from the conversation. So what I mean by that is when you're talking to somebody, and if somebody asks you a question with the words por or para, your answer is going to be with whatever word that they just used, typically speaking, right?
Okay, yeah.
So to kind of make it simple, like people stress out about, like I've seen people have meltdowns over this before because I started tutoring in college, and I helped out like a lot of college and high school students, and that's kind of how I got through college. And I've since done it, and I see people melt down about this. And like, yeah, so maybe if you're getting ready for your high school Spanish final exam and you don't know if you're going to graduate because of you passing the test or not, that could be pretty stressful, right? But for like, it really, for both of you, neither one of you have a high school final exam coming up. So like, you're going to take your cues from the conversation that you're in.
Right.
Is that helpful?
Very, very helpful.
So
Thank you.
Don't worry. It comes in time. You're going to make mistakes. And it's very rare that you're going to end up saying something offensive, or you know what I mean, like something that you like. If you happen to mess something up here, if you use por when you should have used para, if you use para when you should have used por, like you're still probably going to be understood
Yeah.
because of the context of the conversation that you're having with the person. So, you know, sometimes I'll see people where the wheels are spinning so hard in the head that you break down and you stop talking. And it's just so much better to like keep talking, right? Push your way through the conversation. Don't like you're coming up and bueno, este fin de semana voy a desayunar. Is it por sábado or para sábado? I can't remember. And so then like you just stop what you're talking about. And like there goes the comment. And so like don't find your like try not to let yourself get into a situation where all of a sudden you're like, oh, is it por or is it para? Is it para? Is it por?
Yeah.
Let me think back to what the teacher did, and there's the arrow and there's the circle, and just say whatever you want to say, but then listen to the verbal cue, because the person might respond, you know, me gusta ir para, you might say something like, me gusta ir por Miami cada año, when you should have said para, I like to go to Miami. And the person speaking to you, that's talking to you, that's a native Spanish speaker, might say, te gusta ir para Miami? Sí, me gusta ir para Miami, right? So just listen to those cues in the conversation, but don't let something like this stop you from speaking. Okay?
See, very good advice. Thank you.
Muy bien. Well, we are out of time. Can you believe it?
Okay. No, time flies.
There went the hour.
Tiempo volar.
El tiempo vuela.
El tiempo vuela. Vuela. Sí, el tiempo vuela.
So yeah, just, you know, Sally, I'm sure I'll see you again on Friday.
Sí.
Hopefully I'll see you again, Lynn. And just, you know, for you to know, Lynn, I do give classes. I've got a language school that, you know, we're online right now. We're all virtual. So we can hook you up with some private lessons, or you can join one of our group classes. If you know, getting better with your Spanish is a big, you know, goal of yours right now. And it would be helping out a lot of our teachers right now, because things are getting really tight for us.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's a sad situation, but I'm kind of being faced right now with the decision of to close the school or not.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. You know,
isn't Colorado opening up a bit, or what's happening with that?
well, the state of Colorado is, but the city of Denver is not. And even then, schools are not in the first wave of opening. So.
Oh, no. And now with summer coming, they probably won't open for just a couple of weeks at the end of the school year.
The schools here in Denver Public Schools, is debating whether or not to open this year, period. My neighbor works for DPS, and they're planning on opening at this point in time in January.
Wow.
So,
in January?
Yeah.
Not even next fall?
Not even next fall. They've
gosh.
pushed all their classes online, and that's more than, you know, who knows what will happen. But yeah, I'm being forced right now. Like, my question is, so this thing was just a huge shock for my business.
Yes.
2 months. So I've been closed for in-person business, and I've gotten a few students online here and there, but yeah, it's been really hard for a business. And just thinking of the ongoing, like, my landlord is not giving me any breaks.
No.
All my service providers want to be paid in full. So more than likely, I'm going to be doing this permanently from my house.
Yeah.
Forward.
Yeah. Well, you're very good at it, David.
Gracias.
And same with your the whole technology thing, with being able to write and put slides up and all that. That's really helpful.
I try my best. Yeah.
Is there a website I could look at your?
Yeah, it's just the languageschool.us. Let's see here if I can. Where's my chat box? There we go. There we go. So you should have our website in your chat feature.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's real simple. It's just the language school, like the sign that you see back here, the language school, and then .us.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I wasn't planning to take classes, but who knows? Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, it'd be great if you did.
Yeah.
Either way, feel free to keep joining us for the practices. I hope you found this useful. My mission is to, I really believe that there's a lot of misunderstandings that are happening, especially in the United States right now, between the English and Spanish-speaking communities. But when you just get people together to sit down, and so a lot of times we'll have a native Spanish speaker on this meeting with us too. And I've never found a situation where when I get my English and my Spanish students together, like people come out of it all mad. Like,
Oh, no.
the way they are when you see these, chat rooms and memes and these, like, we're all just people. We speak different languages. People.
Yeah.
Let's actually hang out and have a cup of coffee and talk and become friends. And that's a lot more productive than building walls and
Exactly.
calling people nasty words that I see these days. So anyways,
Lynn, encantada conocerte.
Encantada conocerte también.
Gracias.
let me know if I can be of any help to either one of you. Feel free to reach out. We're here for your success.
Excelente. Hasta luego.
Ciao, ciao.